right, you bunch of yahoos, strap yourselves in for another episode of Dan and Don's Toxic Masculinity.
In other words, shut up, sit up, and pay attention. And welcome back to another episode of Toxic Masculinity. We've got my co-host, the meanest, fiercest fighter in the world, Don the Predator Frye, and yours truly, Dan to be Severn here. We're from Toxic Masculinity. We're here to entertain you in a masculine kind of way, and the world could use a little bit more masculinity ingested into it. So we're here to entertain, offend, defend, anything and everything that we care to. And, if you get a little bit offended about it, your prerogative is to either watch or not. That is still a choice you have. Better take that choice now, because who knows the way this wacky world is going, you may not have a choice soon. So, but anyway, there, gentlemen, Tony, would you like to introduce our guest there? Tony is the voice behind the microphone, the all-knowing, all-being Tony Martinez. Are you there?
Well, Tony just passed that buck to me. He's over there making all kinds of hand signals and stuff.
Oh,
so
okay.
Because
all righty.
This is my good friend for many years, Mr. David Hebler. I've known Dave since, well, at least the early 1980s. And his brother was actually my immediate superior in special forces when I was still in the military. And that's how I met Dave. And Dave's had a long career in martial arts, but what made him famous, so to speak, was the fact that he spent several years as the personal bodyguard to the king of rock and roll himself, Elvis Presley, and traveled with Elvis, was at concerts with Elvis, was at Graceland with Elvis, and has a whole long litany of fantastic stories about what it's like to be out on the road with the most famous rock star in the world.
Oh, you bet. Oh, Elvis the pelvis, you betcha. Well, I mean, Dave, what can you start us off with? What got you into a bodyguard type of work? And ironically, let me go off with the one tangent. I have a tendency of doing this, going off on the tangents. I don't know if it's ADD or what exactly, but I happened to watch the movie The Bodyguard last night, starring Kevin Costner. So I kept thinking, it's so big fitting that I should be watching The Bodyguard last night and now having you on here today. So,
well, I would have liked to have had Kevin's experiences as portrayed in that movie. Of course, reality is sometimes a little bit different, but fantasy is also running rampant too when you're dealing with somebody as famous as Elvis Presley.
So when did you? I mean, how young were you at that time that you got involved with Elvis Presley?
Well, I was sitting in my karate school in Glendora, California, and I got a phone call from a guy by the name of George Waite, who was a Kempo black belt, training with Ed Parker in Santa Monica.
Yep,
and he notified me that they were going to have a bunch of the guys were getting together and having a workout that coming Friday, and invited me to come and join them. I hadn't seen these guys in quite a while, so I decided I would take the 3-hour one-way trip across LA to get to Santa Monica. And I did, and we got out on the mats and we're having a good time and beating up each other, which is kind of fun. And I noticed a commotion at the door, and I look, and here come oh my God, Elvis Presley. And I'm thinking to myself, what is he doing here? So he ended up standing up, watching the class, and he's pretty intent about watching what we're doing. And the next thing I know, he's out on the mats wanting to train with us. Now, I got selected by Ed Parker to be his dummy, his training partner. I mean, what else would you call somebody who just stands there and let you beat on them?
I think the more disguising word is called your uki.
Yeah,
We call that a Severn.
yeah. Well, I'll go with dummy. In any event, it was obvious he didn't know the material. And so I helped him out, with the stuff, showed him what to do, helped him with scoring points and doing the whole thing. In any event, it all went pretty well. And at the end of the session, he's standing there with Ed Parker, and Ed calls me over and said, I want you to show Elvis that special technique that you do all the time for demonstration purposes. And I went, yeah, okay. So I got a dummy and I did the technique. Now the technique is not practical. It doesn't work. It just demonstrates speed and power and agility. That's it. That's about the whole size of it. But it comprises, it's comprised of 13 different strikes. And in those days, I could do those 13 strikes in 2 seconds.
Wow.
Now, yeah, that's what we named the technique. Wow, because that's what everybody said after I did it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm thinking 13 techniques, and you said
13 strikes.
Okay.
In 2 seconds.
Wow. Again, yeah,
it takes me 2 minutes nowadays. But nevertheless, I learned later that Elvis was so impressed with that particular technique, the Wowie, that he right then and there decided that he wanted me to be part of his security apparatus, a member of the Memphis Mafia, and one of his personal bodyguards. And 2 days later, I had a call from Ed Parker saying that Elvis wanted to meet him and I out at his Beverly Hills home. And I said, nah, I don't want to go. I said, of course I want to go. Yeah, let's go. So we did. We went out there. We went into his house and we're all just sitting around, and there weren't very many people there, but we were just, enjoying each other's company, telling stories, talking about girls, that kind of thing. And after about an hour, Elvis says, Dave, excuse me, we have a bit of a problem out in front of the house in the driveway that we need to take care of. So if you'll excuse us, we'll go take care of that one, and just hang loose. We'll get back to you. So I said, okay. And I was sitting there, and a few minutes go by, and the next thing I hear is Elvis going, Dave, come here, I need you. Now, I don't know what the hell is going on. Is there a problem? Is there some kind of a, so I don't understand anyhow. So I go out there, and there's all kind of, everybody's standing surrounding this 1971 Mercedes 280 SL, beautiful car. And I said, yeah, Elvis, what's the problem? What can I help you with? And he said, it's this car. It's cluttering up my driveway. And I want you to drive it away somewhere.
Yeah, it's a pretty beautiful car.
Yeah, it's cluttering up his driveway. He wants me to drive it away. So I said, sure. Where do you want me to drive it? And he says, anywhere you want. It's your car. And he handed me the keys and the paperwork to the car. Yeah.
Wow.
Second day I met him, he gives me a Mercedes. So I don't know what to say.
Wow.
I'm tap dancing all over the place, trying to be grateful and whatever. And he finally just laughs and he said, enjoy your car, Dave. And they all went in the house and left me and Ed Parker to drive our respective cars wherever we wanted to drive them. And that was my second meeting with Elvis Presley.
Jeez, oh Pete, that's wow.
Top that one.
I can't on that one at all. That's pretty incredible. On a second, and you've basically over the duration of how much time did you know Elvis Presley then? How long were you?
I was with him for 4 years altogether.
Okay. For 4 years as a bodyguard,
as a bodyguard. Okay. First 2 years was part-time, and second 2 years was full-time. And it was a fun trip.
Well, I did. I'll tell you. But my only Elvis Presley story that I have is I was at Arizona State. My freshman year was 1976, and Elvis Presley was doing a concert at the Arizona State University. And the huge activity center, I don't know, it holds something like that, I don't know, 15,000 people, something like that, sellout crowd. And they were just looking for big football players, big amateur wrestlers, put on a security shirt and basically just, saying no most of the time, just to people and just to keep people back from squish up the place. So, but I saw more women's underwear being launched towards that stage than anything. I kept thinking, holy moly, what did they do? Have a sell down at Macy's or something like that? What's the deal here?
I have stories about that, Dan.
Well, please, if
they're not quite as interesting as some of the stuff that the crazy ladies did. Some of the stuff would beyond belief. What they would do, like the two girls that mailed themselves to Elvis in a box. It's Saturday. I mean, I was driving to Graceland one morning. I noticed a commotion at the gate, and a television crew van just drove away as I drove into the gate. And I'm kind of curious, I don't know what's going on. So I asked Vester, the guard, I said, Vester, what's going on? He said, you see those two girls over there? I said, yeah. And there were these two young ladies. They were about 17, 18 years old. And I said, yeah. And he said, they just mailed themselves to Elvis. And of course, I brilliantly said, what? And he said, yeah, they put themselves in a box and mailed themselves to Elvis. And I went, damn. So I called the girls over to the car, and I said, and they got up and they were really shy, and they're going, yes, sir. And I said, did you actually do that? They went, yes, sir. You put yourselves in a box, got it nailed shut, and put into the postal service and mailed to Elvis? Is that what you did? They went, yes, sir. I said, well, what happened? He said, well, we were disguised as dogs. And when the delivery was made, the office people refused to accept delivery. So upon hearing that, they kicked themselves out of the box, and the jig is up and they're caught. And they're getting escorted down to the front and all that stuff. And meanwhile, somebody called the TV station, and they showed up. And of course, it was a big news. But in any event, to continue with the story with the girls, I said, I said, how much did it cost you to do that? And they said, $97. I went, holy shit. I said, listen, you still want to meet Elvis? And they went, yes, sir. I said, get in the car. So they do, get in the car, and I drove around back up Graceland where I normally parked, and we went in the back door, and there was a hallway going down to one of Elvis's room called the Jungle Room. And we're walking down that hall, and Elvis is in the Jungle Room, and he's watching television. So I walked up with these two girls and said, hey, Elvis, guess what I got here? And he looked and he said, two pretty little girls. And I said, yeah, you're never going to believe what they did. And he went, what did they do? I said, they put themselves in a box and mailed themselves to you. And Elvis, brilliantly, just like me, answered the same way. What? You did what? And they went, yes, sir. And they're kind of shuffling around a little bit. Yeah, they're just cute little girls, but
but were they like shuffling around like this, a little bit embarrassed by all this, or?
Yeah. Yeah. Anyhow, Elvis said the same thing I said. Why'd you do that? And they said, well, we wanted to meet you and we couldn't think of another way to do it. So that's what we did. And he said, oh my God. So he ended up giving them scarves and a kiss and everything. Then he looked at me and said, get rid of this too. So I walked him out, whatever. And that was the end of that episode. But it by far was not the most bizarre things that these women did. They're crazy.
Yeah. Okay. But
I have a whole chapter in my book called The Crazy Ladies.
Oh, okay. That's what's called The Crazy Ladies, or is that?
Yeah. Yeah. My book is the Elvis Experience. It came out about 3 years ago. And I do all these vignettes in the book, all these little stories of stuff that took place. Some of the stuff that happened at concerts that were insane, the San Diego chicken, okay. And you're laughing at just the name. So lots of fun stuff that happened.
You said this book just came out, The Elvis Experience?
Yes, 3 years ago it came out.
Where can people pick up a copy if they would like to?
Well, they can go to www.thedavehebler.com and buy a copy, an autographed copy. Or you can go to Amazon and buy one for $20, but it's not autographed.
Understood. www.thedavehebler.com.
Yeah.
Okay. Just want to make sure that we have, because we'll definitely come back to that a couple different times, because let's face it, the King, Elvis Presley, he had quite the legacy for, again, quite a few years. Should not have died when he did pass on. Who knows where he would have been at today, but definitely made his mark in the music industry.
Thank you for watching another episode of Dan and Don's Toxic Masculinity. You better like, subscribe, and share, or I'm going to come to your house.